Little socks. Kia ora, YouTube. Welcome back. My strength and fitness channel has apparently been hijacked by my ADHD content. But while we're on a roll and so many people are resonating with what I'm saying, I thought I would double down a little bit more and just provide a few videos till I basically run out of dopamine on this topic, and then I'll probably go back to lifting heavy things. Throughout all these videos, you've heard me talk about how supportive my wife has been. So I thought it would be a really good video to pull her into the conversation and get her whole perspective on all of this. So yeah, this is Sophie.
Hi.
So
I am wife.
She is the wife.
Rip and tear until it is done.
And so we are in Strength Block together. She is also a personal trainer and strength coach. And basically we are codependent, right? Our lives are extremely intertwined.
We live and work together.
Yeah.
Most days.
And I'd say part of the reason why I would say our relationship is tighter than most relationships in regards to how much we're in each other's pockets is because of the level of support required for me and my ADHD. But we didn't realize that in the beginning. It's just like she really balanced out my weak points.
I think it's just the personalities match well.
Yeah, it plays a massive part. You'll also see in this video, I prepared some questions to ask Sophie. And we are very different in the sense that I just make things up. Like everything I do is unscripted. I gave Sophie the questions ahead of time because she likes to be prepared. Yeah, so like that's our dynamic. Sophie is the one that is prepared. I am the one that is never prepared, but make it up on the fly. I've got a few questions that I have prepared for Soph to really see what her perspective is, because she was with me well before the ADHD diagnosis. So she kind of went on the journey with me in discovering what ADHD really is and how it was affecting me, and also kind of put a few things in perspective in those first few formative years of our relationship.
Yeah, so he doesn't know my answers. He just kind of give me these questions to think about.
Gave her the questions, didn't want to note the answers. I wanted this to be authentic. Okay, so the first question I wanted to ask is, what was your initial perceptions about ADHD prior to my diagnosis? Because I think there's a massive disconnect between what people think ADHD is versus how it actually manifests, right?
So I would say my perception prior would actually be more focused on kids, as if it's more a children's diagnosis or something that you hear about only in like younger kids generally, or that's when it's caught that they have ADHD at a young age opposed to being diagnosed as an adult. And just hyperactivity, just picturing kids running around out of control, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like that weird confirmation bias, right? Where some of the ADHD symptoms that exist can cause you to be quite rebellious and push back against social norms, whether that's like interrupting, being hyperactive when you're supposed to be being quiet. And some kids don't have that full spectrum of symptoms, or they manifest in a way that's less destructive. So therefore, like a lot of us just think of like the naughty kids at school, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's always this idea, like everyone had like the ADHD kid in their class or like in their year.
Yeah, but even then I don't even know if they were diagnosed ADHD kids back then or not. You just have the hyperactive kids. But yeah, I actually prior didn't really know many attributes, or I didn't know much about ADHD at all.
Yeah, well, the fact that you can like have ADHD and not realize you have it, because I never had anything picked up at school, right, at all. But they really should have picked it up if people took the time to know what this full spectrum of symptoms look like. It's very obvious in hindsight, but because I was a student that could achieve well enough to go under the radar, which I think is most of the case, I think it's lost in translation on what actual ADHD symptoms look like. Yeah, very interesting though. You'll also see how blind I am when I try to read my phone. Okay, so before I was diagnosed, was there anything about me or my actions or behaviors that confused you?
Confused is a funny word. I don't know if I'd say confused or annoyed. Interchangeable.
Yeah.
Yes, so the sleeping in really late. So I'm kind of more of a morning person, or I've had to be because of work. And to me, the sleeping in late felt like a choice at the beginning, I'd say. And like staying up really, really late and not trying to go to sleep or not. So yeah, the sleep aspect is one.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'll just quickly jump in on the sleep one for like
Before I start my list.
little bit.
All right, let me tell you.
Little bit golden tidbit. So a common thing with ADHD is a delayed circadian rhythm. So we want to go to bed like an hour or two later than a normal person. So that's one thing.
Like 6 hours later.
Yeah, I'm particularly bad.
And I go to bed early.
And
so
yeah.
We live on different sides of the day. That's annoying, but yeah.
So you've got this delayed circadian rhythm that makes you want to go to bed later. But then also on top of it, those end moments, for me personally, that nighttime moment is when I'm most comfortable in my own brain. Like I think that takes a little bit of fatigue for my brain to slow down. And it's a very nice space for me to be in. So then I also procrastinate going to bed because it's like it's when I'm at a most even keel. The flip side of that is when you wake up in the morning, you have the least amount of dopamine. So to get going in the morning is really, really hard. All right, so that's just a side note.
Okay. The disorganized behaviors of things like not paying bills, having so many credit cards, not having systems in like paying these things off when they come in, not writing things down. Like, yeah, it's just the systems of normal tasks being difficult.
Yeah, and this is what I kind of chatted about in the last video was like a hard thing is trying to do things like the neurotypical way and still failing at it. Like you have to figure out your own systems. And I'm not saying I have systems at work because we still know there's many deficits in the way I handle things like money. And part of that is like, so you handle most money.
I feel like
right?
money is one of the bigger ones and the most stressful. And I can see how it would interfere in relationships because it's hard to deal with.
I don't like money. I'm not good at handling it. Like I've kind of accepted it. I'm 35. If I was gonna know how to do it, I'd do it by now.
Not being able to multitask or move quickly between tasks. Having to take all these mini breaks all the time between tasks. Not just being like I can multitask and I'm loading the dishwasher, I'm doing something else at the same time. I've got like a list in my head and I'm just going through it, doing things at the same time. And Damien just focuses on one thing and then cannot quickly switch or can't do anything else.
And then I won't even finish that one thing. So like I will clean an entire kitchen, for instance, and then still be like, there's 2 plates left that need to be done with something, or you need to empty the water out of the sink. Like it's that final thing. Yeah. But yeah, the mini break thing, right? Like everything is like, needs like 15 minutes to half an hour buffer between.
That's all I wrote down.
That's all you got? All right. And those things still go on. They didn't go away with the medication.
No.
Okay. So what is the biggest change you've seen since I've been medicated?
Okay. Definitely more on task. So if you are doing a task, which I've noticed a lot for our business because Damien does a lot of our like websites, our graphics, our blogs, everything, basically everything that's written for the business, and you can stick to it and you can actually be there for hours, like chipping away at it now.
Actually stay on one task.
Yeah, so I put definitely more on task, getting projects sorted, although it still takes you ages to begin. Like your day starts at midday. Once you're there, you're on task.
Yeah. But it is still very frustrating because it's like the medication doesn't fix everything with that. Like you say, I still can take me till 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. to get started. And then I'll still get frustrated that I run out of day.
I feel like I need to like pop the Ritalin in his mouth as soon as he wakes up. Like, let's get this day going, shall we?
But then there is the issue as well of like, the reason why I put off taking the Ritalin in the morning is because I know I need to become hydrated. I need food in me. I need all these things before that medication, because once it goes in, my appetite goes away. And then I can function quite well. But then I start getting really agitated at people and I start getting real angry. And I'm like, oh, everyone's pissing me off today. And then it just turns out I've been hungry for the last 6 hours. So I've learned it's super important for me to get a few things done before I medicate myself. Yeah, fair enough. You got anything else? What on like a personal level or?
Well, a couple of your questions is very similar.
Right.
Because your next one is how distinct is the difference between being medicated and unmedicated?
Yeah, let's just roll into that. How distinct is the difference? Because I personally can feel a big difference and I never know if it translates into my interactions.
I can tell when it's worn off or when Damien has not taken his medication. And sometimes I say to him, have you not taken your Ritalin today? And he'll be like, no. I'm like, oh my God. Like, yeah, I can tell. He's actually a lot more hyperactive, I suppose, when he hasn't taken his medication. A lot more sing-songy, a lot more like, like all over the place. Like, yeah, getting into little loops, like singing loops or your song lyrics going over and over and over again. More chatty, definitely more chatty.
Yeah, definitely more chatty.
More loud.
It's
just a bigger personality. It's still the same personality, but it's like heightened when he's not on medication.
It's like a weird thing because like when I was younger, what the kids would say, like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, is I had good riz, because like that. Yeah, there we go. I've got riz, but like that was ADHD symptoms, right? But like I can yarn, I can speak, I can make a joke out of anything. I'm constantly trying to make everything humorous. And it's very weird for me that like when I'm medicated and I don't need to be doing all of those things, like there's still a little bit of like bullshit in my head that's like, you're boring now. And it's like, I don't know if that translates because you always interpret the to yourself much harsher than other people see it, right?
No, I feel like the personality is still the same in, overall.
Yeah.
It's just heightened. It's sort of like someone's slightly drunk or like, you've already had a couple drinks.
Yeah.
We haven't caught up quite yet. It's the same personality, but it's like, it's like a little bit, more intense.
When I was first medicated and I would like go out for coffee with people and like I was letting them know what I was going through, there would literally be moments in the coffee where I'd be like, am I acting normal? Because I felt like I've been too quiet. I feel like I'm withdrawn.
Oh, was this when you just started the medication?
When I first started the medication.
So obviously it's changed a lot now, but the first time Damien took the medication, I thought he was acting completely normal. From the outside looking at it, he took it, we went and had coffee, but he was like, do I look weird to you? And I'm like, no. He's like, am I sounding weird? And I'm like, no. He's like, everything seems a bit like I'm too slow, like slow down. I honestly couldn't notice a difference.
And it's because like I'm very fidgety and stimmy. So like for me to sit still for 10 minutes makes me feel like I'm like like frozen like a possum.
I can imagine that would be off-putting. So if you were like trying your medication for the first time and that happened, if you didn't persevere with it, that could be off-putting for people because it obviously feels really weird. You don't feel like yourself. And so I can see why people be like, this isn't for me, but they haven't ridden it out where you have, and now you don't get those feels anymore.
Yeah, because I found that interacting with people, and this was literally for maybe a week. Like it didn't last long. I found the interaction with people difficult. I felt like I was speaking really slowly. And like I said, because I was not moving as much, I felt like everything was labored in how I socialized. But at the same time, I was well aware that I could sit and do work in front of a computer. So I instantly saw the benefits there, and it took a little bit for me to adjust about how to interact. And now I don't even notice. The only thing I'll notice is I can reflect back on conversations and be like, they're a little less like jokey. They can be a bit more to the point.
Not as jokey.
But they stay on topic.
He's also harder to get out of the house in the morning if he isn't medicated. It's hard either way, but it's like way harder if he's not medicated. Just get him moving.
Do you have anything else to that?
No, that's about it.
All right. Because I said how distinct is difference. Yeah. What's the most annoying ADHD thing I do?
Okay, so we've said sleeping late, which I know you can't help, although I really want to get you out of bed all the time. There's a few here. Okay, sleeping late, being really messy. I'm also messy, so it's very hard because then we're both messy and Damien's messier, and so we live in perpetual messiness. Song loops, going over the same song lyrics all the time, or the high-pitched singing, but it just goes on for that little bit too long. Like, it's fun the first few times, and then it just keeps going. You're like, okay, enough. I get enough of that song now.
Sophie was going through hell during the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef because I was just like, I had all of like, what is brains? Like I just had Kendrick lyrics stuck in my head and I just blurt them out spontaneously, constantly.
And one other thing I put down was info dumping on me at the wrong time. Like, so info dumping when I am in bed and I've got an early start tomorrow. You want to have an intense conversation about something really random, like the potato famine. And I'm like, oh my God, so unnecessary right now. Or first thing in the morning when I haven't had coffee yet. We'll be going to a cafe and Damien will unleash something he's learned in a podcast and want to tell me the whole topic, and I haven't had coffee yet. And he keeps speaking and he doesn't really take a break in his speaking. So I just can feel myself being like, as I've checked out, I'm not listening, and I become overwhelmed with him. Like, then I feel like he's talking at me, and I just have to be like, can you just for just a second? And then once I drink coffee, I'm like, okay, now tell me all about the Great Potato Famine.
It's funny because like, Sophie has some pretty strong auditory sensitivities.
Yeah.
So like to be paired with me is an interesting thing. Like she gets overwhelmed by too much noise all the time and I create too much noise all the time. Our levels of what music is supposed to sound is like completely different. I'll be sitting in Sophie's car sometimes as passenger princess and like 20 minutes into the journey be like, oh my God, your radio is on.
I would happily sit in silence. Sometimes I drive in silence. Maybe it's because if I'm not with Damien, I need some silence. I don't know, but I just like quiet time.
Just raw dogging life, man. I can't do it. What's the most fun part of my ADHD?
Okay. The most fun is the joking personality, making everyday tasks fun. I would say. I mean, our personalities match really well anyway, but like playing games like a child all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very playful.
Very playful.
But that's because you're receptive of it, right? Like,
yes, that's true.
Some people are not receptive of it. And like, that was a lot of our bonding in the beginning was like just like going to the beach and trying to do cartwheels and stuff, right? Mm.
Yeah.
It's like you thought it was love, but it was just a symptom.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does keep things interesting, but like that's detrimental. Well, not detrimental. Like it is a double-edged sword in the sense that it's fun, but sometimes I don't know the line on like when we need to stop having fun. I will use fun as a way of stopping like procrastinating doing important stuff, right? Which is why you're good at pulling me back on track.
I do think also maybe just observations through you and other people. I do feel like people with ADHD are very caring people generally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's obviously a great trait. Yeah, it's in you. And I also have noticed in other people who have ADHD, I don't know if it's just coincidence, but generally quite in touch with emotions, I would say. Yeah.
Well, I think the reason for that is, and I've had this yarn to multiple people, is one of the biggest misnomers about attention deficit disorder is it's not a deficit of attention, it's the opposite. It's being aware of everything at once. That's what makes it hard to deal with. And part of that is emotions. So it's like, it is, for me at least, it's incredibly difficult not to be empathetic. Like, there are situations where you don't want to, the emotional state of a person isn't necessarily important to the conversation that's being had, but you cannot ignore it. If you can pick up that something is wrong in that person's life, it's very hard to engage. So you have to, like, I've learned to embrace it and be empathetic and therefore like acknowledge emotions. So it's like a two-way thing. And I'm always amazed at people that can just sit in awkward situations where something's clearly wrong with somebody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're pretty empathetic as well, so it works. But that's also caused a lot of trouble for me in being a man in my life, you know, like being told that I'm overly sensitive because it goes both ways, like raw emotions, but then I also detect emotions really well. Which I guess kind of leads you to this, which is interesting as you see more neurodiverse people in the wild, and has my diagnosis changed the way you perceive other people's actions? Like, does that make sense? So like, if someone does something that feels wrong in a social situation or anything like that.
Wait, wasn't the question...
Oh no, we've gone off script.
How has your diagnosis changed the way you perceive other people's actions?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, well, other neurodiverse people, that's what I was just generally going to talk about.
Yeah, but not everyone's diagnosed, right?
Yeah, so since knowing Damien and getting to know his personality as well as the ADHD traits for his personality, I can now pick it up in lots of other people, but mostly unmedicated people. So I can definitely tell, I'm like, this person, I think they've got ADHD. And sometimes I ask them and they say yes. So yeah, it's like, I can definitely notice it now in other people. And it's also probably made me more, what's the word? Not accepting, because I'm
You still get annoyed?
already accepted. I get less annoyed at what previously would probably annoy me. I'm more accepting of it because I'm like, okay, I feel like this is an ADHD trait. It's something that they're not meaning to be annoying in this moment. And so I would let it go more rather than judging someone just being annoying. But actually with that, I feel like the only trait that I find actually annoying, Damien doesn't have. So the ADHD trait that I see in other people, not so much, not in Damien at all, is the talking over someone and interrupting them and just getting louder and louder so that voice is heard the most. That's what grinds me, and I've really got to be like, okay, they don't mean to do it, just leave it. But you actually don't have that. And I feel like if he did, I don't know if this would work. But because he doesn't, yeah, I don't have to deal with that.
I do have it. I've just learned to not do it.
Yeah, but people can't always change.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you can't learn to not do it sometimes.
Yeah, it is very difficult. I get it, because it's like, I have an ex that I'm fairly sure had ADHD, and it drove me crazy. Like, I've had this conversation with you.
I've spoken to a few people with ADHD or who think they have it, and they say they know they're doing it as well and they can't help it.
Yeah, it's that level of shame that I've spoken about multiple times, where it's like, you know, you're annoying people or you're doing the wrong thing, but you can't really help it. Like, as you just do it over and over again. So it's like, I feel for people. I'm very happy I don't have it. I will say though that, like, that is an example of an ADHD symptom that probably gets you diagnosed earlier.
I was just going to say, like, I feel like that is the standout symptom when meeting people and being like, oh, okay, I think they might have ADHD. Like, that's the thing that's probably stands out the most and is the most kind of overbearing.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
If you don't have that, it's probably harder to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
People, yeah.
And I think, and also like, I know exactly the people you're talking about. It's like for girls generally don't get diagnosed for ADHD as nearly as often, because the diagnosis criteria are based on males, because a lot of medical stuff is essentially sexist. It's biased towards male diagnosis. And so I feel really bad, especially for women that have ADHD and have the interrupting thing, because then there is also like a societal idea where there's always a pushback against girls that can be like assertive and pushy. As a guy, you're just like, it's annoying. As a girl, you can be pretty strongly against it. And that just feeds into that cycle of shame that so many ADHD people have. So yeah, it's a very difficult one, right? So it's like, yeah, have some compassion. If you know someone that interrupts you, there's a good chance they can't help it, just for the record. It might annoy you, and like we're both aware that this is a symptom that exists. Still, it's still annoying, and I will still find myself gritting my teeth.
Yeah. That's probably the hardest one for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all the questions I wanted to ask you today. Thank you for...
No quick-fire questions?
No quick-fire questions. Now I feel like I should have a quick-fire question, but no, I won't. Yeah, so follow us on Strength Block. If you live in Auckland, join our gym. It is a neurodiverse-friendly gym, just because of the nature of the owners. As well as check out Strong Apparel, check out our app, and if you haven't... Oh yeah.
Plugging this t-shirt while we're here.
Yeah, where else? I don't know if I'm on frame, but boom.
Attention deficit hypertrophy disorder. So if that's a bit of you, if you're neurodiverse and you also like the gym, you can actually get this. Is this available on our website now?
I can make it available. It exists.
Put it on the tasks that it is not done or written down.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you very much. Chill.